welcome. I am back for another episode of The Lock-In. Darragh will be back a little bit later on. He's on a plane on the way to Malaga. We are here for the PokerStars Open Malaga main event. High rollers tonight, big jam-packed schedule. But I thought I'd just maybe start in this fashion because you know the way Darragh and I have this running bit where we take the mickey out of how shit our accommodation is, how we, have horrible curtains in our hotel rooms, or how we stay in terrible hotel rooms in places like the Gold Coast. Well, not so this time. Not so at all this time. This that I've been panning around behind me is actually the most prestigious, most beautiful golf course in all of Malaga. And we are staying in a penthouse apartment that is literally inside the golf course. It's insane. And it's beautiful. It genuinely is beautiful just to be around so much green. And there's people hitting golf balls just like over there. We have a lovely big balcony to enjoy. We have a roof garden that's the size of the actual apartment, which is insane. It's actually too big and it's probably just too hot to go up there, so I'm not going to do that now. But we're breaking inside. We are I'm here on my own at the moment. You see, the lads are all arriving, and when I say lads, it's not just me and Darragh on this trip. Jason Tompkins, top Irish pro, and our good pal Thomas Murphy actually is going to pop along for a few days later in the week as well. So there's a few of us going to be staying here. As you can see, nice big apartment. Lovely big living room. I won't take you to the bedrooms because they're just fucking bedrooms and like people should have some privacy even if it's, they're not there yet. But they're all down there. But I will take you into the kitchen for one very important reason. And that reason is we pretty much have our own private pool. Fuck yeah!
Qué bonitos ojos tienes, debajo de esas dos cejas, debajo de esas dos cejas, qué bonitos ojos tienes.
Okay, so as you saw it there, Darragh made his way to Malaga last night or yesterday evening, and we actually went straight into the high roller. No good for me, very early exit I must say. I gave my chips to a good lad, Jamie Wynn, got them. I heroed with two. It was a hero, I feel like it was a hero. I don't think I'm ever supposed to fold two pair in that spot, but I kind of wanted to. He did have a better two pair, good luck to him. Darragh, you also jumped in the high roller, no good, but you did survive an awful lot longer and had one particularly nasty beat along the way.
Yeah, well basically my tournament was, I was card dead for a long time, so I kind of drifted back from 30 down to about 20, but then I steadily built again, mostly without showdown, it has to be said. My table is very soft, it's one of the softest tables I've ever played at. It was pretty easy to read whether people had a hand or not. And then, yeah, the big hand, when I had 40k, I was involved in a three-way all-in top set against no flush draw against open ender. So I'm not even that much of a favourite, to be honest.
You fucking just pair the board.
Well, if I pair the board, I kill the
kill cards.
And if I can avoid all the spades and all the two cards either side of the open ender.
Yeah. But you're probably, what are you there? You're probably like almost 50% for a tripler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was short. I found a very good spot at the end as well. I got Queen Jack in against Jack 8 for the quintuple, but 8 in the river. It was just one of those days where in the all-ins I ran really, really bad. The field was so good, I thought, I have to go again. We had this discussion, you're going into PLO today. You don't really like the max limit reg on a 2K.
Obviously I'm a PLO specialist, everybody knows that now. I'm destined to come second in this tournament, but apart from that I'm just a coward. 2Ks are a bit like a Kelly Criterion faux pas for me, which I don't mind taking the odd time, and I didn't mind taking in this tournament because I felt like there was loads of value, particularly at the beginning of that. Obviously a lot of those guys have busted, but there's still a lot of them in, and it is very tempting, and Darragh was trying to twist my arm the entire walk up here, saying come on, fucking grow a pair, just get in there, it's a great tournament. But yeah,
I mean, to be honest, like the guy who hit his nut flush draw, who really had no business being in the hand,
he's still there with loads.
He's probably chip leader actually. He ended the day with 14 starting stacks, so he's going to be up there.
Now there is good reasons for it, and I'm interested to know what you think. Answer in the comments below if you have thoughts on that one. Kind of think of it as maybe like a tournament that's like double your average buy, double your Kelly Criterion allowed buy-in, and you have to max late regis. Decent chunk of the value is gone, but there's a lot of value still in there, and it's just like one of those anomalies with Vegas on at the moment. It's just a case that it's a bit extra soft. Spanish love poker, they're actually here in big numbers, but there's not a huge amount of strong players in the field.
Yeah, but there's been a lot of talk on Twitter recently. Tom Boss has been talking about the ICM boost that you get tournaments. 60% or more probably. I didn't look at the final number. Bust on day one, and 15% are paid. So I think the ICM boost is fairly significant.
Yeah, it's a big one. He might yet twist my arm a second time now on the way in. Speaking of Vegas, and obviously a lot of the poker world is out there, and a lot of the poker world is thinking about that. One topic that came up again, and it's almost like fucking Groundhog Year. It seems like we do have this awful habit of, whether it's talking about reg fees or talking about late reg or talking about multi-entry or talking about disruptive people in the game. This was an interesting one. Daniel Negreanu actually weighed in on his vlog, sitting next to Jason Kuhn in, I think it was the 250k, about how Martin was a very disruptive influence, and then it came out the next day that he believed that 5 years ago he would have banned him, which I thought was kind of hilarious given the fact that they were having pillow talk conversations with one another last year on his actual vlog. Made me feel like Daniel and him were quite palsy, and there wouldn't have been a thought to ban him. But this is sort of Daniel jumping on the bandwagon that a lot of us have been on for a long time, to be honest. Martin has been a disruptive force in poker, going back to Rosvedov streams in particular, where he was pretending to mark cards so that people wouldn't know to bluff him or have the confidence that they could bluff him, making people feel like he was maybe doing something untoward, allegedly doing untoward things as well, it should be said as well, although that's probably not provable. But you know, just enough people feeling uncomfortable. And what was interesting, Darab, was that Jason Kuhn weighed in on this on a future episode of the Chip Race. In fact, the next episode, which we will show a teaser clip of in a moment, but not yet, because I want your take first.
Yeah, I mean, in a sense, it looks maybe like I'm mirroring Daniel, because my attitude to Martin has hardened considerably in the last couple of years. I used to give him a lot more leeway. I thought, well, he's clearly very autistic, he's socially unaware, and I didn't think there was too much malice in what he was doing. I've kind of changed my mind on that. Just looking at him now, he does seem to be genuinely trying to upset people, annoy people, wind them up. And he feels obviously he gets some edge from that. You hear a lot of people saying he's a great character. Like, he really isn't. Like, he just has a few catchphrases, a few annoying habits that he does over and over again. When you're at a table with him, he's also very loud. And it's just not a pleasant experience for recreational players to play with him. It's not a pleasant experience for pros either, but you know, some people kind of like the fact that he gets under the skin of the so-called super pros. But he really annoys the recreational players who actually play with him as well. Not all, it has to be said. Our good friend Michael Dwyer did actually say he enjoyed playing with him during the week. Now, Michael has a little bit of previous for liking problematic characters. I mean,
what was this when he was friends with me? Who are you talking about?
I mean, maybe it's fair to say that Michael likes people who sort of like draw a lot of attention to themselves. So maybe that's where he's coming from. He did say that Martin tilted him last year, but this year he found
Oh, okay. So he's gone the other way. He's softened on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I played with Martin a couple of times. I found him quite horrible to be around. Those catchphrases get old. Well, they're old already, but you know, if you've never heard them before, they're old within 2 orbits for sure. Obviously very Kassouf-esque, you know, a reference that is more what will, you know, be sort of a European thing. For us, we've had more Kassouf interaction, but you know, the Americans got their Kassouf interaction last year in a very fucking big way, and I think, yeah, people kind of lump them together as problematic characters. They're different, but they are the same in some ways.
Yeah, they are. Well, at least their effect is quite similar, and they're different to be around. I actually had a funny conversation with my wife during the week in which I argued against her, and she's French, that everything sounds better in French.
It's a very dangerous thing to do, to argue against Murray. Jesus Christ,
so I actually feel that maybe like Martin should be allowed to go on, but he has to say all his catchphrases in French. Like, not like that becomes pas comme ça, which is actually a lot nicer. It flows a lot better.
It would, at least it would break up the Casino Royales and all these other, although that probably translates almost identically.
Casino Royale is French.
It's just Casino Royale. Okay, look, Dara's going to do his best to convince me not to be a pussy, but I think I'm going to jump in the PLO. He's jumping in the high roller. Hopefully he'll get a spin. We are here in sunny Malaga. It is fucking beautiful. What do you think of our apartment, by the way? I was bragging about our apartment in the last
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Well,
We're ballers. We're just ballers.
You always do really well on this stuff.
Well, you say that, but we have been at some truly terrible hotels down the years as well. In fact, this time last year we were in Glasgow, and I'm not quite sure whether that was actually a hotel still.
Yeah. That was. Yeah, we were staying in a large cupboard.
It's a mixed bag here on tour, but you know, this is one of the ones where we're living it up. Hopefully, obviously, the poker is going to go well today. Also, oh, sorry, I promised you a Jason Kuhn snippet. Here it fucking is.
Yeah, I've never really had to experience Kassouf. From what I've seen, does not look like it would be enjoyable. these guys, I can't speak for Kasuf, but I know Martin, he's a big customer, and but yeah, I don't know. It's not my job. I don't represent the World Series of Poker, and it's not my job to decide who belongs. But yeah, it's rough. I can tell you from my own personal experience. For me, I have quite a high tolerance for chatty, talkative people, and I think that banter and like voice play and stuff at the table, I think is awesome. I love people that talk during hands. I think it's really good, and I would prefer that over just sitting in a silent table. But this is not that. It's strategically, yeah, it's strategically applied abuse, and it's just done in a way where it's veiled with a sense of humor, and until you're in the seat for 5 straight hours being screamed at by the guy, and you're not just watching some 30-second clip of him on Twitter or whatever, I don't think you can necessarily relate to the volume and the intensity and how stressful it can be.
Ellos me quieren mirar, pero si tú no los dejas, pero si tú no los dejas ni siquiera parpadear. Malagueña, salerosa, besar tus labios quisiera, besar tus labios quisiera, malagueña salerosa, y decirte, niña hermosa.
Okay, so to catch you guys up, obviously we were in the PLO there. That was actually a couple of days ago. No joy in that one. Dara busted a few bullets, and I managed to get kind of close to the money, maybe 6 or 7 off it, but no joy in that for me either. Since then, we have played the main event. Dara very successfully, me very unfucking successfully. Our good pal Jason Tompkins actually played 1A and bagged up a nice big 140k stack. But no, Dara wasn't having it. He was going to go just as good, right?
Yeah, slightly more actually.
Oh, there it is.
3.5k more. So yeah, I'm the leader in the clubhouse at the moment. Dave though is showing amazing spirit. Really quick bullet. He bluffed it off. He claimed it was a good spot. Spain is never a good spot for a bluff.
Probably wasn't a good spot.
Bullet number 1.
Yeah,
bullet
okay.
number 2 didn't last very long either. In the same
Combo
price.
draw. I was in flipping, but again, they don't fold over pairs when you're repping sets when you have combo draws. So,
But third time lucky. Dave, how much did you bag?
half starting stack. I jumped into turbo flight late last night and got up to about 50k in the first maybe 2 hours, and then went back down to 15k, which is exactly half a starting stack. Bagged that, put those miserable 15k into a bag. So I do return now to day 2 with, I think it's exactly 12 bigs, and if I do bust, I get an option to go again.
2 more levels.
A fourth bullet in this boxy tournament.
Maybe even
no,
a
it's
fifth.
in this fabulous PokerStars brilliant tournament that we love, and I will say no bad words about.
It's an amazing structure, it has to be said.
It's amazing
Like,
structure.
I just played really patient all day. I mean, I obviously ran well to bag up almost 5 starting stacks, but yeah, like I had no real big setbacks. I lost Ace King against Jack 9 for not very much at one point, but apart from that, it was just kind of like very patient, very steady climb.
Nice, yeah. No, Dara's steady climb, me more this way every single bleeping time. We do have one more member of the household this time round. Tom Murphy is in the mix as well. I did bust just before him. He did bust at the same table I was at yesterday, but he jumped back in and he bagged up how much, Dara?
Well, his second bullet was much more exciting. He came to my table with about 40k. He spun that up to almost 100k. But then our table broke near the end, and his last table wasn't that nice to him. I think it was 37k he bagged in the end. But I love having Tom at the table, because one of the great things about having Tom at the table is he's so slow. If he's in a hand, you can go to the bathroom, you can go have a coffee, you can just chill basically, come back 20 minutes later and he'll be on the turn.
Nice one. Nice one. Well, look, we'll try and keep you posted about the lads, how they're getting on as well. Obviously, it's the lock-in, but anyone who's in our household, is part of the Chip Race family as far as we're concerned. So we'll try and tell all the stories. Going to head back in. We've got about maybe 20 minutes. We got to play the free roll that PokerStars put on for all the qualifiers, but no joy in that either this morning, which has meant we've got half an hour to walk this beautiful promenade. Look at this, guys. Just look. Wow. Okay, now I'm going to do a full 360 and try and keep Dara in shot with some nifty camera work. And that's where we are right now. Malaga's nice, guys. If you're not here, come next year.
Me desprecias, yo te concedo razón, yo te concedo razón, si por pobre me desprecias. Yo no te ofrezco riquezas, te ofrezco mi corazón, te ofrezco mi corazón, a cambio de mi pobreza. Malagueña, salerosa, besar tus labios quisiera, besar tus labios quisiera, malagueña salerosa, y decirte, niña hermosa.
Jack, two jacks, ace, king, jack, as, rey, bota, con dos tréboles en el blog, dos jugadores, you can show your cards. All players shows pair of aces against set of queens. So we have lost a player. Congratulations, you are all in the money.
So as you saw there, Tomo bust, I bust again, and Dara, actually we didn't show it, but you also bust, right?
Yeah, I bust. I got through the bubble. I was kind of relatively short. Swung up and down a few times, but yeah, ultimately got just lost a big flip. Basically, that was kind of the thing which did it for me. Is king against jacks. You know, you play to kind of get in those positions and then hope to flip well. Myself and Jason had actually gone to dinner and went with Jason's wife and daughter Joy and Faye. After the bubble burst, they basically just sent us an dinner break straight away, which of course throws everybody in things like everybody's coming out at the same time. Everybody's got reservations for later. So we had to wolf down our food, and as we came back, I did joke to Jason, I'm going to bust here in a few minutes and be really sad having literally run back from my dinner, which I've wolfed down. Jason actually had less chips than me at that stage, and he spun it up nicely. So Jason is into day 3.
That's right, yeah. So day 3 just beginning actually now. We've decided to go in a little bit later because we're playing the what are they calling it? Mystery Bounty Cup these days. The cups are Mystery Bounty. Bit of an overcast day here, by the way. Obviously, usually very sunny. Malaga seems to be very sunny everywhere else on the continent, but not quite so sunny in Malaga today. A little bit overcast. But yeah, we are heading in to play our Mystery Bounty Cup. We're rooting for Jason hard. There is a feature table at work today, so I don't know if Jason will make that feature table at some point. He may well do. If he does, we'll obviously get some of the footage from it. If he doesn't, we will just keep you posted with some, carefully curated B-roll that I will find by walking, probably not even allowed through the tournament area sneakily with my phone. Just to let you know, guys, as well, because I know these things become a bit of a sort of holiday poker vacation type thing. Just beneath us here is the Chulam Bar, don't know if you can see that there. Am I getting that into shot right without throwing the phone over the edge? That's a really cool beach bar actually that we sort of take over here as PokerStars for the week. That is the Malaga Open. It becomes a maybe 2 hour a day happy hour every day, usually coinciding with whatever the earliest football match is. And I think people have been enjoying themselves down there, having the free drinks after they bust. Not the worst way to deal with the bust out, Dara. We even imbibed. We had a couple of cervezas. I had some sangria there a couple of nights ago.
Yeah, I know. Nice little spot, and it runs every night as shows the World Cup match, whatever the World Cup match might be, and everybody gets two free drinks every night, so can't complain.
Yeah. Or you could go in, claim those tickets, come back and have 4 drinks the next night, because there's probably not an amazing amount of security going on down there. It is a beach bar after all. You could probably scam PokerStars for a bonus drink. Anyway, we are going to wander in because we are obviously poker players too. You would know that Dara was. He's cashed the one tournament he played this week. You wouldn't really know that I was. There's actually no evidence of me being in Malaga. Years from now, people will look. Well, nobody will actually look. But years from now, I will look back on how many cash did I have in 2026? Where did I go on my holidays? When I'm in my dotage and I don't really remember my life anymore. And there is currently no evidence to suggest that I was ever here. So, Dara, unless you're still around and you can confirm it to me and you say, you were there.
Yeah, but then you'll. My memory will probably just be mush at that stage.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh!
Sorry, caught. David just castrated himself.
I think I've cut my bollocks off. Oh, that is no joke, guys. I've absolutely wrecked myself. Oh, I'm being so brave right now because the camera's on. I've torn my shorts and I've taken the knackers off myself. Oh, that is horrific. Oh, well, that was a real moment. That's what we always talk about, being candid in these vlogs.
Yeah.
That wasn't scripted. I can assure you of that.
We were just talking as if nothing could be worse than not cashing, but it turns out it's not capping. You could literally get a kick in the bollocks.
Yeah, we were also talking about having legacies of this trip. I'll always remember that scar in my right testicle. That'll always be evidence that I was here this summer. All right, let's try and play some poker if I can actually fucking sit down.
Qué bonitos ojos tienes, debajo de esas dos cejas, debajo de esas dos cejas, qué bonitos ojos tienes. Ellos me quieren mirar, pero si tú no los dejas, ni siquiera parpadear. Malagueña, salerosa. O las pone ya como él considera. Yo me tiro a la piscina directamente, yo me lo invento, yo lo reconozco.
Bueno, esta nos ha pasado. Si alguna vez nos ha pasado con alguno de vosotros, los del chat y tal, sí, nos disculpáis, que somos muchos.
9 ciegas menos.
Sí, 8 y pico. Y sí, yo creo que sí. Si las has abierto es para 8 ciegas.
Aquí ya 8 ciegas, se ponen 6 ciegas más para. Tienes que pagar seguro. Tiene que pagar seguro. El coreano. Mucho tiempo que ya has tomado esa decisión.
Pero ¿y de decisiones vitales también hablamos?
Sí. Pero que es que en el póker se ve súper claro, porque él ya ha cogido las fichas y ejercer, efectivamente, ejecutar la acción. Bueno, cuidado porque tenemos el flip. Rey dama contra seises, los Tompkins, los seises, los seises de Tompkins que van aguantando.
Uy,
los
está lo que abre.
Ahora. Bueno. 11 outs para el coreano. Se va a doblar el irlandés. Vamos a ver el river. Claro. Estas no se ganan.
No, por lo que sea, no. Ya cuando se empiezan a prepararlas así, de este nivel, abre tanta equity en tour.
Nada, imposible librar esto.
The flop say 10-8-7. Turn down. Turn down is an ace. And the river. The river is another 10. You just lost one player. Guys, go back to your seat. I really need you to sit down.
Okay, so we're back at the scene of the crime. It was literally, I'm on the other side this time. Dara might rip the pants off himself. We actually bagged, we both bagged fuck all chips, but we got there.
One bullet, one bag.
One bullet, one bag, 2 starting stacks for Dara through today too. I literally bagged 1k more than a starting stack, 31k. I'm probably the shortest person in the tournament, but we did manage to get through. And I suppose that's a result. We get our money back. It's a mystery bounty. We will have bounty hunters preying upon us. They'll probably get it in really bad. We'll probably have to get in somewhat loose as well. But you know, these are the kind of tournaments where you can get a spin going, maybe even more so than others. And who knows for tomorrow. Anyway, just a very quick recap. Yeah, we both did it somehow. Lucky tearing the fucking knackers off yourself, I guess.
Did it on one knot. Amazing.
So here we are, 3 of us into the €400 mystery bounty, all on one bullet? All on one bullet. Tom 2 bullets, sorry, Tom 2 bullets. Between us, we have almost an average stack. I have a starting stack. Tom is doing the best, but kind of not, because Dara's actually sucked out. Why, Dara?
I only have 2 starting stacks, but I'm actually covering 3 people at my table. 3 people.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. I cover one person by 3k.
You cover one person. I thought you covered no. That was such a bad beat.
Cliff notes, this could be a very short day too.
Tus labios quisiera, besar tus labios quisiera, malagueña salerosa, y decirte, niña hermosa.
What happened to you?
It was a great spot. So I started the day, I covered 3 stacks. Unfortunately, 2 of those busted in the first hand. I had 8-4 offsuit and there was going to be like 6 people all in, so I couldn't go with it. Next hand, the other short stack bust. Then they moved a guy to my table. He had exactly the same stack as me.
Ooh.
47k, which is like 8 big blinds. He shoved hijack. I have 5-6 offsuit on the button. Can win his bounty, obviously. No, not within touching distance with anybody else, so I have to go with my hand. The 2 blinds go as well. I know they're going to go, but like 5-6 plays really well multi-way as well. Unfortunately, actually the other short stack one, which is really pretty cool. It was a great spot for both of us because we were both in a bounty.
So as you saw there, it was the somewhat anticipated, but still, well, we had some hope. But it was a kind of expected short day, 2 in a lot of worlds for Dara and I, who had 1 and 2 stacks respectively. We had an opportunity to leg it back home. So we've actually run back to have a bit of lunch. We've got a 200 to fire in maybe an hour's time, and we've a 500 after that if things go wrong in the 200. But actually just sort of wanted to jump into something that's going on in the poker world right now. There are 2 topics. One which is, I suppose, something we would like to address. A story that's coming out of the World Series right now. Aubrey Williams is on the final table. We've been railing her progress in the last, day and a half, as she went kind of like last 100, last 50 or whatever. Pretty much chip leader or up there among the chip leaders each day. And sort of like, I guess, a little bit worried for how, the trolls of the world were going to deal with this story. Aubrey is a trans woman who has been, playing on the circuit for quite a long time. Obviously is in the ladies event at the World Series, is having a great run, kind of run that you might only get once or twice in a lifetime. And it is something to be celebrated in my view. And I feel like the players in the tournament feel absolutely like it's something to be celebrated, right there?
Yeah, in fact, I'm not aware of any player in the tournament who's objected to her presence or made any sort of negative comment at all about our participation. It all seems to be coming from the outside. Hate to say it, but it seems to be the usual suspects as well. Ironically enough, it seems to be exactly the same sort of guys who find it hilarious when a guy enters a ladies tournament. But now that a trans woman is in, they're talking about safe spaces for women and all the rest of it, which does seem to be a trope of the far right. I have to say, every time every time there's some incident involving an immigrant, they talk about protecting our women, but at the same time they're cheering on people like Conor McGregor who have very problematic records and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a weird place where like some very conservative people are now essentially expressing some very anti-liberal, anti-free, whatever you want to call it, sentiments, saying that trans women shouldn't be allowed in the event, when it doesn't seem that there are very many women at all who have any problem. I haven't seen any, and I've seen overwhelming support. All of the negative comments I've seen pretty much have come from men.
Yeah, absolutely, and mostly anonymous men on the internet, and some people who I suppose have put their own names on what they think. This is obviously sort of an issue which I feel, again, like Dara said there, it's become like a hot button political issue, a way to maybe juice people up on a non-liberal value and get them to maybe vote against their economic interests. That's probably pulling too far into the politics and the sort of machinations of what goes on about this. But like at the base of all of this, there are people. There's a human being in this story, and she just wants to actually not even be talked about. Like, we're probably not even doing her much of a favour by talking about it, but it just feels like she just wants to get on about the business of playing her poker tournament. She's having a great run in this particular one. She might yet win it. I think at this point, I think she's 5 of 6. Caitlin Comiskey's 6 of 6. I'm actually not familiar with the women who are in the 4 spots above, but she's going to go to the final table tonight. From our perspective now, it'll probably be a result one way or the other when you watch this. And like, why is this an issue? And also, there's a kind of a position that people are taking of like, was it Sean Deeb who, dressed as a woman about 10 years ago or more, and there was a guy with the big white beard who looked a bit like Santa Claus, played the ladies event like 2 or 3 years ago, and people are like, they don't identify as women. This is a person who has gone through a significant life event, a coming out, a realization about who they were, and has lived as a woman for quite a long time now. This is not somebody who's just doing it to be provocative or as a joke or whatever the other people did. This is a real person who is a woman and wants to be treated as a woman and feels like the ladies event is a very nice place for her to go and like participate in a tournament. And there's just some weird stuff going on. I was really happy to see people like Patrick Leonard, who's obviously a very big person in our industry, and lots of others besides speak out very vocally on that. Caitlin Comiskey, who I mentioned there a moment ago, who goes into this final table 6 of 6, very vocal as well. Rania, very vocal. So, like, again, this is just hopefully something which people can be a little bit kinder on, actually, to borrow from Patrick's very eloquent tweet. It seems weird to segue from that one to maybe a rules question, but we love our rules on the chip race as well. That was a hard segue, actually.
Oh, that's terrible.
That was a brutal U-turn segue. We've gone from something that's actually meaningful to something that's a little bit weird.
This is almost like we're
time banks.
This is almost like you're paying a really respectful
should have done the other way around
obituary to someone, and then you go, but in better news, sunny conditions expected tomorrow.
I feel like I can't even do the segue now, but I'm going to try and do. I did do an amazingly awkward segue years ago on the chip race when we did have the passing of a dear friend, Cav, and I always regret how badly I did that segue. It's probably like 9 years ago, and it still haunts me. This is now going to haunt me that I've gone from like a really meaningful story about a person to a rules question, to a really awkward rules question. Okay.
Pernickety.
This is pernickety. At PokerStars, we are trying our best to lead the way on the issue of stalling. And I think everybody agrees stalling at a certain point in time got out of hand, was a bit much. certainly around bubbles, final tables, all that kind of stuff. There was a preponderance of stalling. Anyway, we've introduced this 15-second shot clock pre-flop, time banks of 30 seconds.
It's not pre-flop, it's the first decision.
Sorry, absolutely. So if you're putting your second bit of money into a pot, you get 30 seconds. So basically, the first time you enter the pot, you have 15 seconds. And after that, you get 30 seconds on any decisions. That's kind of put it in a nutshell. And I think that's pretty good. You get 2 30-second time banks. You get an extra one every couple of hours. Probably you don't need any of them. I think I've used one time bank in 20 tournaments already. So you don't really need them ever. But what you do need around bubbles is those 15 seconds. And I feel like PokerStars, who employ me and our Flutter company, and Flutter employ Dara. So we are ambassadors for these companies. And I am pushing back against something that, Toby and Nick and guys in our team who are brilliant tournament directors and are trying to solve a real problem here. But I feel like they are going a little bit too far now. I feel like PokerStars have done a really good job with this new rule. But this new rule is now being kind of like re-policed. Dara, maybe you can speak to what's kind of going on now for people using that 15 seconds regularly around bubbles, shall we say?
Yeah, so first of all, I want to say, people often have a perception that we're very pro-stalling, and we're not. Like, when it exists and it's clearly to your financial benefit, it is part of our job to do that. But, I'm very much in favour of any rules which reduce the amount of stalling that's possible. To be honest, I think the 15 seconds is a little bit short. When I spoke to John Enright, who's going deep in, when he was going deep in the second chance, he said that he felt flustered in a lot of spots where he was thinking about a 3-bet and he had to decide on his sizing. It's not a simple decision of like, I'm going to bet, I'm going to check, I'm going to fold. You always have to think about sizings as well. Yep. You maybe have to check out our stack sizes. So I don't think the 15 seconds is enough.
And by the way, he's an experienced player.
And he's
imagine you're
player.
a recreational.
The recreational players, some of them were really flustered at my table. So I think the 15 seconds is enough. And one of the problems with the 15 seconds, I think, is that it seems perfectly legitimate to everybody to just use the full 15 seconds. If you made it longer, so let's say 30 seconds on every decision, then clearly if somebody was taking 30 seconds on every single decision, you would know that they were stalling.
Yeah.
And that's an introduction, because what they've done now is, in addition to you only have 15 seconds, you're not allowed to use the full time bank every hand either. If you do that, the dealer has to alert the floor and say that you're stalling. Now, first of all, it's a very ambiguous rule. Like, how many in a row is too many? You could have 3, 4, 5, 6 difficult decisions. You could be in such a tight situation with ICM and all the rest of it that maybe every single decision is difficult and you want to use your full 15 seconds. But now they're saying if after a certain number of hands, the dealer's going to call the floor and say seat 6 is stalling, just because he's using his full 15 seconds. Yeah. Like, you either have 15 seconds or you don't. If you have 15 seconds, you should be allowed to use it in any way you can. They do similar things. They call it the virtual all-in rule, where if you move most of your chips in, you're not allowed to use your time banks now. We obviously know why they're doing that. But I spoke to Nick O'Hara about this, and I said the problem with this is that you're now punishing people who actually acted faster, not using their time banks earlier, and you're rendering their time banks worthless at the point where they really want to use them. So, the time banks either exist or they don't.
Yeah. The
time that you're allotted either exists or it don't. And if it does, and somebody wants to use their full 15 seconds every time, you just have to accept that. 15 seconds is not too long in the big scheme of things.
Yeah, to pick up on what Dara said, I feel like this rule is what we do to police this situation. And basically, I'm going to make it a single one now. Basically, this rule is, solving our situation. This is what we wanted. We always wanted to have a situation that was kind of uniform, that was easy to police, that was going to be something that we could, just institute, and then that was the rule forever. And now we have this problem where people are now re-policing within this rule. And that is very problematic. To put it in a nutshell, and I think Dara actually did a really good job of this. If you're going to have your time, it's your time. It's your time bank to use as you want. If you choose to use a minute because you think you might get a ladder of $500 deep in a tournament, personally, I think that's a really bad use of it, because you may get a difficult decision in an hour's time where you really badly need that minute to properly think about, a tough river spot. And if you've chosen to do that, well, that's your strategy. Your strategy has been, I'm going to use it on time banks for ladder jumps and stalling before bubbles instead of when I really need thinking time. Well, you've penalised yourself to reward yourself in another way. That's your call. I think it's a bad decision overall, but that's your call to make. If you're given 15 seconds or 20 seconds, which we would advocate, is probably better. I'm going to push for that internally as well. I think 20 seconds maybe solves a lot of this as well, that you're not feeling too pressured. It's only fucking 20 seconds. Not being bad here, lads, but let's remember what we're trying to deal with here. People would sit there for fucking 2 minutes and not act, clearly stalling, until usually the big stack at the table will go, for fuck's sake, I've had enough, and call the floor. And then it took 20 seconds for the floor to get over. And then the floor would ask the dealer, has he had enough time? And the dealer would go, yeah, he has had enough time. And they go, okay, now you're going to get 30 seconds. And if it happens twice, 3 times, they go, okay, you're starting to take the piss now. That's minutes and minutes upon minutes upon minutes. We're literally now going to start policing the difference between 9 and 13 seconds that you might this. We've solved it. 20 seconds pre on first actions, 30 seconds thereafter. We've solved it. Let the people use their time banks how they want. Give them the whole amount of the time, as you said, Dara, perfectly. And this becomes a non-issue. By the way, sorry, actually, this is one final point on this, and this is important as well. There's an assumption that people take longer around bubbles because they're stalled. Absolutely, sometimes that happens. People take longer around bubbles because it's more complicated. When you factor in risk premium, it's much more complicated.
It's more complicated, and you're also under more pressure. So you're less likely to be thinking clearly. And the other thing is, I would like to say, they're imposing an extra level now, or extra difficulty on dealers, because now dealers are supposed to be policing for this. So they're already having to deal with the shot clock, where they start 15 seconds, and if it's the person's second decision, they have to press a different button for 30 seconds. And one thing, my final point on this would be, is I completely reject the idea that the amount of time you use to make a decision should only depend on your hand and whether you're going to play it or not. And I'll give you an example. I hadn't used any of my time banks. I was shorter on the bubble. I was tending to use most, but not all of the 15 seconds. And then somebody bust on our table, and they bust in early position. And the hand that's playing now, there's an empty seat where the next big blind will be. Mm-hmm. I can see them breaking a table, so I know that somebody should move into that seat.
They'll probably be there in 20 seconds.
I can see the people moving around. There's one player in particular who seems to be taking a lot of time to gather up his chips. Everybody else has moved to their new seat. Our seat is still empty. So if this player gets there, in 40 or 50 seconds, and we've all acted quickly, he's going to not have to pay the big blind or the big blind ante. In a situation where he should have, because everybody else has already taken their seats. So I ended up using a time bank to make sure that he was on his way to the table before. Nice. Now, some people would say that's I had a nothing hand, and I had no intention of playing the hand. But to my mind, this part of the strategy was to make sure that player had to pay the big blind. That's also part of tournament strategy. Tournament strategy is not just about your cards.
No, that's a really good point as well. Yeah, and there are always these little wrinkles in it and little extra edges that can be gained. And we're poker players, and we're out there trying to make the best decisions, make the most profitable decisions. Star's given a really good example of a little way you could sort of carve out. It might only be fractions of a big blind or a little bit of extra edge, but that's equity that you want to have, and I think players are entitled to it. Look, as I said, want to reiterate this maybe for a third time. Love the way Stars are always pushing the envelope, trying to improve the player experience. TDs like Glenn, Nick O'Hara, Toby, as we mentioned, who, by the way, is going to be on the next episode of the Chip Race, so we'll talk more with him on that episode. But just feel like this is important stuff, and feel like sometimes, maybe, just maybe, in an effort to do the right thing, we push it a bit too far, and that's to the detriment of player experience, and that's to the detriment of a little bit of strategy that could be deployed. And that's maybe flustering people that we shouldn't fluster at a very key moment of the tournament, as bubbles and, final table bubbles often are. So, yeah, look, that's just another thing we want to talk about, because, we are, end of the day, players first. And, while we work for PokerStars, Paddy Power, Flutter Brands, we want the player experience to be as good as it can be, and we're not going to say that everything is always right. And we want to hopefully, put a little bit of pressure on the guys to improve things.
And as a non-stars person here, I would say as well, stars are the only people taking this level of granular detail. It just does seem over the top.
Yeah.
I think Matt Savage in the States, who has been a champion of shot clocks for a long time, Matt tends to get the balance right. Like, if you give people 15 seconds, you give them 15 seconds.
Yeah.
You don't go and tell them, oh no, you use 15 seconds the last 3 times. You don't have 15 seconds now.
Yeah, because okay. I'm going to be fully honest with the whole thing. I was in a spot like last night where I was basically at the cusp of being told you get 5 seconds per decision. And 5 seconds on a bubble will be so insanely egregious. I wouldn't have liked that to have happened to me or any other player. So look, hopefully we will solve this one, get it right. I figure we will. I think common sense always prevails on these things. And we're in a bit of a, teething process with these new rules. We're trying to make the overall experience better. Maybe we've overshot ever so slightly, and we'll come back to the perfect place.
Pobre me desprecias, yo te concedo razón, si por pobre me desprecias. Yo no te ofrezco riquezas, te ofrezco mi corazón, a cambio de mi pobreza. Malagueña, salerosa, besar tus labios quisiera, malagueña salerosa, y decirte, niña hermosa.
Okay, so that's a wrap for our PokerStars Malaga Open 2026. Basically a washout for me. There is evidence that I was here because I have a min cash in a mystery bounty tournament for less than the amount of money I paid into it. Dara, there's a bit more evidence that you were here.
Yeah, I did slightly better than min cash the main event, thankfully on one bullet, and also pretty much the same cash, actually exactly the same cash as David, less than the buy-in back, which also incidentally hilariously was not the min cash.
We laddered.
Yeah, both of those entries actually came from the silver pass that I cashed in. So at least I didn't have to pay physical money. But then, I did also enter the high roller twice and the PLO, and I played 2 more events today, the 220, which I near bubbled, and the 550, which hilariously, even though it was called the deep stack and we wedged with 33 big blinds, I lasted 1 hand.
Yeah, not a great week from the poker point of view. I want to say we did our bollocks, but I actually, as you might recall from last night, did actually also do my bollocks.
Yeah.
Which my literal bollocks, which was no fun. Look, this is a great stop. No question about it. PokerStars are putting on a show here. Numbers are record breaking, 1,700 plus. I think it was 1,600 and something small last year, so they've probably gone up by 10%. What's really kind of fun is that if you are into the higher stuff, the 2K and the 5K got really good numbers. Our pal Conor O'Driscoll got 3rd in the 5K last night. Tell us about we have another Irishman who John Enright got
first
in the 500 second chance.
The second chance, yeah.
Amazing result. That was like 50k or something.
Yeah, amazing result for John.
Amazing.
I actually had a long chat with John tonight. He enjoyed the stop. His only complaint about the place was that it's not wheelchair accessible at all. Not just Malaga or where we are, Ben Al Medina itself. The streets are very hilly. But even the casino, he said he constantly had to he just had to get lifts everywhere, and it's just awkward to get around. So that's definitely an area they could improve. But apart from that, amazing stop, and obviously, he's happy because he won.
Yeah, he's a rich man now. He has all our money and other people's money as well. Look, obviously, great to get the feedback about the wheelchair accessibility. That's a very important thing for poker events. And we hope we can do something on that front for next year as well. But I do really encourage people to come along here. We managed to get this fantastic apartment which we're enjoying tonight, and I would definitely try and find this spot again. I would not miss a Malaga PokerStars event in the future.
Absolutely not.
And I would really encourage people to come in and do this one because, you know, it's soft. Even though we did our bollocks this time round, it is soft. Like the Spanish, I love them. They're great enthusiasts for poker. But to put it politely, they are wild. Like there was some people just over it today in a way that was like absolutely insane.
Yeah. I mean, as we said, I think we said earlier, Spain's never a good place to bluff. That's something you have to be aware of.
Yeah, it might have taken me two buy-ins to realise that.
But apart from that, yeah. I mean, I hadn't played this stop before because I've always been in Vegas, and it's so much more pleasurable to be here for a week than Vegas at this time of year.
Oh yeah.
It's just not really comparable. One final thing I would say on the wheelchair accessibility thing, something for organisers to bear in mind. So at this stop, there was complimentary coffee, there was water.
Oh, that was nice too.
Serve.
Love that.
You could go up and get any time, but because of that, they didn't have waiters going around, which is great for people like us, but terrible for people in wheelchairs.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So bear that in
point.
mind. Like it's nice that you have complimentary coffee, but you still do need a few waiters.
That's a good shout. Yeah, no, it was. I was enjoying the fact that Dara on about an hourly basis would say, stay hydrated to us all, and we'd all get up and have our drink. And if you wanted a little hot chocolate or a tea or a coffee, you could make it yourself. But that's another great point. Look, always room for improvement, always things we need to look at. But I hope people who came to this stop had a good time. Yeah, look, that's kind of a wrap for this one. Dara's heading off to Vegas, and I think the place is breaking. Much like a poker room, this apartment is smashing down all around us. Dara, final thoughts now you're on the way to play the main event in Vegas.
Yeah, it's a weird one this year because I'm going for such a short trip. It's a long way to go to play one tournament, obviously. It might end up being more than one tournament because basically if I don't get past day 5, I'm heading straight to London for a party poker stop. But if I do get to day 5, I'm going to have to change my plans, at which point I probably will just stay for the rest of the series, either way. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'm looking forward to playing the main event. It's an incredible tournament. We have only ever regged on day 2 once before. That was the year of the pandemic, obviously, when we had no other choice, really. This year I'm doing it by choice, and the main reason is just to spend less time in Vegas.
Well, the best of luck to Dara. Obviously, we will be virtually railing him. And maybe some people out there will be railing him in person as well. Hopefully you get a good run. I hope you do. And on that note, it has been another lock-in on location. Thanks, guys.